In a strip mall in Huntington Beach, there was a man mopping the floor, then writing on the whiteboard again and again and again. No followers, no funnels, just one gym, 20 clients, and the first version of what would quietly become one of the most effective business playbooks on the internet. The content wasn't polished, the message wasn't catchy, but the thinking, it was dangerous because it was real and repeatable. This is not the story about virality. It's a story about brand infrastructure, about how Alex Hormozi scaled from floor mats to frameworks and built a personal brand so trusted, it now moves companies into 8 and 9 figures. We're not here to hype the success. We're here to decode the architecture behind it and how creators, operators, and brand builders can use this same principle to scale what they do. Before Hormozi was known for $100 million offers, the podcast clips, or even the navy blue tank top, he was running a gym called United Fitness. Not for fame, but for survival. He slept on the floor, he showered at the YMCA, he handed out flyers at the grocery stores. It wasn't glamorous, and it wasn't scalable, but it was the first proof of concept. Alex didn't grow up rich. He grew up structured. Immigrant family, high standards, good grades, just enough pressure to do something big, but no clear path to get there. He got into Vanderbilt, top 20 school. Everybody expected him to ride the wave into consulting or finance. But 2 weeks in, he looked around and thought, this is not my life. So he left. No plan, no trust fund, just a vague sense that building something of his own, even if it flopped, would feel more honest than pretending to care about spreadsheets. So he opened a gym. Not a sexy one, no branding, no high-end equipment, just a logo printed at Office Depot and a pile of Craigslist flyers. The growth was slow. Rent was late, he slept on crash mats, showered at the YMCA, and ate canned tuna with mustard because it was cheap and high protein. In a podcast years later, he said, I didn't want to be broke, but I wanted freedom more than I wanted comfort. There's a clip of him from that era, whiteboard in hand, sweating, focused, coaching with the same tone he has now. The only difference? One client instead of millions. Because the thing about consistency is, it pays in silence before it pays in public. Eventually, the gym turned a corner. But instead of launching more locations, Alex saw the real opportunity. Gym owners didn't need more weight racks. They needed scripts, pricing, better margins. He started licensing his back end, selling what actually worked. That was Gym Launch, the company that took him from floor mats to 7 figures in less than a year. In one interview, he said, if I'd kept doing lessons, I would have made $100,000. If I helped 100 gyms do what I did, that's when numbers got silly. And in doing that, his brand shifted. He wasn't just another gym guy, he was infrastructure. The difference between a coach and a founder is the systems they leave behind. Hormozi's real leverage wasn't his reps. It was his repeatability. When you sell the engine instead of the outcome, you move from practitioner to platform. Gym Launch wasn't about fitness. It was about giving other business owners a license to scale. In 2021, he published $100 million offers. Not to flex, not for the clout, but to hand over the exact templates that scaled his business. He even priced it at 99 cents, and it changed the game. Suddenly, frameworks that had been hidden behind paywalls were out in the open. People didn't just read the book, they studied it. Founders started quoting it in sales calls. Copywriters started lifting lines for landing pages. Entire Twitter accounts popped up just to repurpose quotes and explain his value equation. The memes followed, the edits, the screenshots of the cover beside striped dashboards. One TikTok even joked, you're not a real agency until you've tried a Hormozi offer and failed at it twice. It didn't just go viral, it became a canon, a playbook that you were expected to know if you were serious about scaling. Hormozi didn't build buzz with storytelling, he built structure with transparency. And transparency scales faster than his personality because it gives people something to build with. Giving away premium knowledge doesn't dilute your value, it multiplies your credibility. $100 million offers turned his content into credential. He could have stopped at the book, but instead he turned his frameworks into content, and that content into rituals. There's a moment in almost every Hormozi video where he stops mid-sentence and rewrites his own point. Not because he's unsure, but because he wants to say it cleaner. That's the brand. Not loud, layered, not polished, precise. It's the same whiteboard, the same tank top, the same pace, but the frameworks, they scale. He doesn't just chase reach, he engineers recall. In one YouTube short, he says, if your goal is to be remembered, don't try to be clever, try to be clear. And that became the pulse of his brand. Every idea sharpened until it could stand alone in someone else's deck, speech, or product page. Like a great TV series, the set never changes, but the value keeps compounding. Hormozi found a way to repackage that same framework again and again across formats, platforms, and even industries without ever losing his lane. Because it turns out usefulness isn't a trend, it's a system. Today, Alex doesn't run a brand next to his business. His brand is the business. Every YouTube title is a tiny sales pitch. If you ever watched his 8-minute breakdown on acquisition strategy or his whiteboard pitch on the value equation, you know it's not just content. It's a conversion tool. You could pause the video, copy the slide, and walk into a sales meeting with a better offer. Every podcast clip is preloaded with authority. Every tweet is a mini masterclass that makes you feel smarter, not smaller. And none of it is by accident. His content isn't flashy, but it's frictionless. You watch, you learn, you trust, and then you apply. That's the ecosystem he built. A flywheel of frameworks, a proof loop that feeds itself. He turned down VC, turned down buyouts, not because he couldn't take the exit, but because the brand was the moat and the business was just getting started. What he built isn't optimized for hype, it's engineered for half-life. Remember, your brand isn't your logo or your font. It's the expectation that people feel when they see your name, and whether your product delivers on that feeling. If you're the founder, your content is your sales team. Hormozi doesn't just market offers, he reverse engineers belief. And belief is the highest converting funnel of all. The blueprint is simple, but it's not easy. Stack proof before personality, teach more than you sell, make the brand match the back end, and build something people quote, even if you're not in the room. Alex Hormozi didn't hack virality. He mastered consistency. He didn't posture. He documented. He didn't sell an image. He sold implementation. And in that process, he turned his content into compounding trust and his name into infrastructure. So if you're building your own brand, this isn't monkey see, monkey scale. You're not here to copy the tank top or mimic the whiteboard setup. It's not about the format here. It's about the strategy behind it. Be so clear that they could quote you. Your headline isn't for you. It's for the person who's trying to explain your value to someone else. Be so useful they save you. That might mean giving away your best ideas, your value equation moment, your no fluff framework. Don't gate it. Gift it. Be so consistent that they believe you. They could look like a weekly newsletter breakdown, or a whiteboard teaching series, or a single line you repeat until it becomes associated with your name. Because in a world overloaded with content, trust compounds in the creators who show their way of thinking. Back it by proof, and then stay in their lane long enough for other people to count on it. When trust is your product, you don't need permission. You just need proof.